So people, Spice finally respond to the video where I circulate with her when she up on the stage, people, and the whole of her front a show. So Spice finally break silence. So people will have a video with a girl explain how her father sexual abuse her. She get raped by her own father. So people will have all of them things that we talk about in this video. So people, before we continue, welcome back to Atopic Entertainment YouTube channel. Hope you have a wonderful day or night whenever you view this video. So people, like the video, subscribe, turn post notification on, so when we have a new upload, you're the first one to get notified. So people, I can start off this review talking about dancehall artist Spice and what Spice have to say about that video where I circulate with her. A lot of people I leave them opinion on that video as a Spice something it look ugly. Yeah, so I may say, but every one of them think they look ugly. So we are gonna make you hear what Spice have to say about that video where I circulate with her. So people, Spice post this on her Instagram, and this how Spice I say. So people, Spice I say are something that looks so but carry and love every vein in your body. So people never highlight the part where she a big up Vybz Kartel and them things that will come to talk about Spice. So people, that's why we're not too real that part away. She a big up Vybz Kartel and the album and them thing about Spice. I say them can go and bring her down, jar down her name. She love her body, she love how her body stay. So if you not happy with her body, that fine with her. She please to how she look. Yeah, so I say that Spice basically I say so everybody can go and eat and talk, she don't care. So we are gonna move on talking about this female with sexual abuse by her own father. People, most of the time when the girl them tell them mother, say them father or touch them or them cousin, someone who them trust, they don't believe the person who tell them. So people, want to listen this story from this girl. Put it in the comment section. Tell me what you think about this. People, share out this content. A lot of people need to see this video, so like the content also. So people, we are gonna just jump in it and make you hear what this female have to say.
Today, August 15th, is my 23rd birthday, and I'm celebrating this birthday by sharing my story with all of you all over the world of how I overcame childhood sex abuse. I am going to be transparent and somewhat explicit about some of the details, so trigger warning. There will be a link in the description box with details of different international helplines. So I'm originally from Zimbabwe, and that's where I grew up. My parents split up when I was a baby, and though my dad lived abroad at the time, while I lived with my mother and I grew up with her side of the family, my dad was still very much a part of my life. He would call all the time, and he was actually the parent that was more affectionate, telling me he loves me all the time, and he would visit every year. And even though I was his only child at the time, I knew that I was my daddy's favorite child. That was until one day something happened that changed my life forever, and might even change yours today. When I was 11 years old, I moved to Hungary to live with my dad and my then stepmom. One day, while I was sat on his lap, we were in the living room and he was on the phone. My stepmom was in the kitchen right next to us preparing dinner for us. My dad had his hand on my stomach on the top of my t-shirt. He eventually moved his hand underneath my t-shirt and had direct contact with my stomach. And he would eventually move his hand up to my breast and he would start playing around with them. Now, in my mind, I knew that what dad is doing is wrong, but I also knew that my dad loves me. So how could my dad that loves me be doing this wrong thing to me? And I just became very confused and I froze. I knew I should stop him, but I couldn't find the voice to say something. I couldn't find the strength to get up from his lap and move. All in the meanwhile, he was still talking on the phone, and he never missed a breath, he never missed a beat. My stepmom was still in the kitchen preparing dinner for us. I don't know how long that moment lasted, All I know is, after that, we had dinner just like a normal family. The next day, my dad picks me up from school and he asks me what I did to you yesterday. Why didn't you stop me? I said, I don't know. And that was the truth, I didn't know. And then he said, A, you enjoyed it, B, you were scared, and he gave me a bunch of other options that I was supposed to choose from as a reason to why I didn't stop him. My theory now is that he was just trying to figure out how vulnerable I was and how likely I was to tell someone. And through that conversation, I proved myself extremely vulnerable and unlikely to tell anyone what he did. So the abuse continued. And it escalated to kissing, touching, over a period of months. He would have conversations with me about what we were supposedly doing. And the last time he would touch me physically, it ended up being rape. My way of dealing with it was to just shut down. It's not happening. My soul left my body. I repressed every emotion, I repressed every pain. I just pretended it wasn't happening, because how could I at 11, 12 years old deal and handle the fact that I was being sexually abused, and it was by my own father, the man that I knew. He adored me and he loved me. So I shut down and I did my best to bury those memories. But fast forward 2 years later, I had moved to England and I was 14 years old. The memories refused to be buried. I used to love it when my friends would knock for me so we could walk to school together, because it meant that I did not have to be alone with my thoughts and my pain. But now, whether I was alone or not, the thoughts, the memories just kept coming back, and they were coming back stronger and more painful, and I couldn't shut them off anymore. And that was the moment I realized that, you know what, if I don't do something about this, this thing is going to break me from the inside out. So I decided to tell my then 14-year-old best friend. Excuse me guys, just bear with me. I told my best friend, and I thank God for you, Angel, that you had the wisdom to encourage me to speak to an adult. After much deliberation and consideration of all the possible outcomes, I finally decided to tell my auntie and my then stepmom. After I told them what happened, my auntie told my mum for me, who was still living in Zimbabwe, is still living in Zimbabwe, because how could I tell my mum that this man that she once loved and conceived me with had done this to me? So my mother and my auntie made an agreement that I would now move out of my dad's house and come live with my auntie. When the story came out to the entire family, my dad said I was lying. He said I was hallucinating. I was making everything up. And it got me even angrier, because finally I had the courage to speak up. Finally I found my voice again. But yeah, here you are shutting me down by saying I am lying. I was so angry. But I thank God for my auntie and my uncle who took me in and adopted me into their family. And one thing they said, they kept on repeating to me, was that, Sesanda, your past does not have to determine your future. And I held on to those words. We told other family members, and some of them, they just pretended they never heard the story, never called me. To this day, I haven't heard from some of the family members that know this story. None of them have even bothered to ask me, at the very least, to ask me if this thing is true, if it really happened. Another response was that we're passing on this story to the elders of the family, because that's how we deal with those things. But I never heard from the elders of the family. Of all the people that knew, it was really about 4 people that were in my corner. And I learned a tough lesson then, that people may love you, but that doesn't mean that they're strong enough to handle your vulnerability. It crushed me even more and added to my pain, because the people I really thought were going to be for me and stand with me and believe me, they were nowhere to be found. But anyways, I still had to go to school, so I cried my way through school, I cried my way through college, and I cried my way through university. Fast forward a bit to when I was 16 years old. I was in church one Sunday, and my pastor says, if you want to receive the Holy Spirit, come to the front. I went, and he asks me, have you forgiven? I said no. And he said, you can't receive the Holy Spirit unless if you've forgiven. You need to make the decision to forgive. Pray every day, God help me to forgive such and such, and eventually your emotions will catch up with your decision. I left church so angry that day. I said, God, you are dumb. Let me be God, because I know 110% that I can be a better God than you. Because there is no way in this entire universe that I, as God, would ever ask a victim to forgive their abuser, especially when the abuser does not even acknowledge that they've done anything wrong. And also, God, why does something that he did have to affect my relationship with you? It's not like I'm the one that did wrong here. And also, God, what are you doing? I am his firstborn child, and he did this to me. So what makes you think he won't do it to all the other girls that you keep blessing him with, to all his other children that come after me? God, what are you doing?